A very warm welcome to all participants who have taken the time out to attend this workshop. Sky was created with a vision to encourage the development of the shopping center industry in India by equipping it with a knowledge base and operational skills, and to help the industry assume its rightful place in society and in the economy. In the year gone by, Sky has sought to increase awareness for the fraternity by conducting monthly webinars on topics important to the industry. I'm happy to let you know that the response to these webinars has been very positive. We have started workshops on the subjects that will help the industry members in enhancing their knowledge and day-to-day operational skill. First workshop was on leasing and zoning in shopping malls. It was conducted by Mr. Rajneesh Mahajan. The response was tremendous. Today's subject is marketing in shopping malls. Mr. Yogeshwar Sharma, an exemplary shopping center professional, a well-known name in the industry, is conducting this workshop. Mr. Yogeshwar Sharma is Executive Director and CEO at Select Infrastructure Private Limited. I will call him Professor Sharma. In fact, Professor Sharma has successfully led the country's most admired shopping center, City Walk, and has been with the organization since its inception. He is an alumnus of Indian Institute of Foreign Trade and is also a visiting faculty at several institutes. He is recipient of several awards and industry recognitions such as Retail Icon Award from Asia Retail Congress, and has been recognized as 50 most talented retail professionals of India by CMO Asia. The session shall be in two parts. There will be a break after 45 minutes to take your questions. So let's welcome Professor Yogeshwar Sharma. Over to Yogeshwar. Please welcome him.
Thank you very much, Sanjeev. I'll do my best to do justice with the time you have allocated to me. But having said that, this subject is such a vast subject that there are too many points to be covered. So we'll start quickly to the point. And if anybody has any queries, please feel free to highlight, and I will be very happy to take queries. So before jumping straight to the subject of a shopping center and that too into marketing, so while I was preparing for this session, I went through some YouTube, some books regarding this, and over the period of 18 years, I have been associated with this shopping center, and most of malls I have been observing how they are marketing, how they are trying to resurrect, or they're trying to put together shopping center. So I felt that when there are a couple of points. There's some noise coming. Can you hear me clearly? Anjeev, can you hear me?
So we can hear you.
Okay, so I felt that there is a need, especially when I reflected on my own mindset. So I felt there is a need to first set the context of business first, then marketing as a subject, and then coming to the shopping center marketing. Because if we only try to talk about shopping center marketing, then we will not be able to do justice to the subject as a whole. So I have put together a presentation. I'll share the presentation now. So I really want to thank Sky for giving me this opportunity. So setting the context is the first point. Second is marketing as a subject, and then shopping center, and then marketing of a shopping center, and then we will end with Q&A session. I'm also a little bit skeptical. In case we are unable to finish this in time, then we will continue this session on another time, on another occasion, because to compress all the information which I want to share, it's practically not possible to put together in this 45-minute session or 90-minute session. So starting with setting the context, but first comes the disclaimer. When you worked for too long with consultants and advisors, then you learn this point that everything comes with a disclaimer. So the views I am expressing here are my personal views, and I am struggling sometimes to put them into practice. Having said that, nothing stops me from learning and sharing and evolving over a period of time. So please, these points are my personal views. Setting the context. So first is, I was really impressed by this Simon Sinek's small video, which explains finite games versus infinite games. It's a small video, but has a very depth in it. And I would like to play this video.
In game theory, there are two kinds of games. There are finite games and there are infinite games. And this is how you're going to change your perspective, right? A finite game is defined as known players, fixed rules, and an agreed upon objective. Baseball, for example. We know the rules, we all agree to the rules, and whoever has more runs at the end of 9 innings is the winner, and the game is over. No one ever says, if we can just play 2 more innings, I know we can come back. Doesn't work that way. The game is over, right? That's a finite game. Then you have an infinite game. Infinite games are defined as known and unknown players. The rules are changeable, and the objective is to keep the game in play, to perpetuate the game. When you pit a finite player versus a finite player, the system is stable. Baseball is stable, right? When you pit an infinite player versus an infinite player, the system is also stable, like the Cold War, for example, because there cannot be a winner and a loser. There are no winners and losers in an infinite game, right? It doesn't exist. And because there are no winners or losers, what ends up happening in the infinite contest is players drop out when they run out of the will or the resources to play. But there's no winners or losers. Problems arise when you pit a finite player versus an infinite player, because a finite player is playing to win and an infinite player is playing to keep the game going, right? This is what happened to us in Vietnam. We were playing to win and the Vietnamese were fighting for their lives. We were the ones who got stuck in quagmire. This is the Soviet Union and Afghanistan. They were trying to beat the Mujahideen, and the Mujahideen would fight for as long as is necessary. Quagmire. Now let's look at business. The game of business has pre-existed or has existed long before every single company that exists on this planet today. And it will outlast every single company that exists on this planet today. There's no winning the game of business. And the reason is because we haven't agreed to the rules. I get such a kick out of this. You realize how many companies actually don't know the game they're in, right? Listen to the language that the companies use. We're trying to beat our competition. We're trying to be number one. Did you know that we were ranked number one? Look at the listing. Based on what criteria? Revenues, profits, market share, square footage, number of employees, based on what time frame? A quarter, a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, 100 years? I haven't agreed to those standards. How can you declare yourself the winner? How can you declare yourself number one where no one else in the game has agreed to the rules? It's arbitrary. There's no winning because there's no end. In other words, companies are playing finite games. Listen to their language. They're trying to beat their competition. What does that even mean? It's the leaders in the companies that understand the game that they're in and organize their resources and their decision-making around the infinite contest that outlast and frustrate their competition. All the companies that we've referred to as the exceptions, Southwest Airlines, Apple Computers, Harley Davidson, they're the exception. No, they're playing the infinite contest. They frustrate their competition, is what happens.
So the lesson I learned from this is that it's an ongoing challenge. I mean, even if there is a shopping center who is doing extremely well, next month, next quarter, so there's some noise coming from one of the laptops or computers. Yeah, thank you. So it's a very important lesson in this talk is that, for example, when we're into leasing or the marketing of a shopping center and we are able to do something which is very, very nice and very, very nice leasing or very nice campaign, but then it has a transient advantage. I mean, this advantage is not forever. It is for that point in time, and then one can continue to build upon it in the future. So second point, which I wanted to discuss was complicated versus complex. So again, I will rely on a small video. I would like to play that video.
And executives that I meet around the world see these two words, they see them as synonyms. So they say, oh yes, complicated, complex, that means things that are frustrating and that I don't understand and that have lots of parts and that are very hard to kind of break down. And if, you know, they're all the same, complicated, complex, I use those words interchangeably. But when you talk to a systems theorist, they say, no, there are very distinct kinds of systems in the world. And these are two of those options, and they have very distinct meanings. So I thought what we would do today is do like a rapid 60-second master's degree in systems theory by starting with the final, well, maybe we might do one more quiz later, but nearly the final quiz. So by show of hands in the room, who thinks that a watch is a complicated system? Okay, who thinks it's a complex system? Okay, and what about the engine? Who thinks the engine is complicated? A couple people. And complex? A few more. Okay, let's turn the tables. What about weather? Who thinks weather is complicated? Okay, who thinks it's complex? And who's a conscientious objector who thinks I'm trying to trick you and you're not going to play? All right. And what about traffic? Traffic complicated and traffic complex? Okay, cool. So you did what almost every audience in the world does, which is about half of you vote for one, about half of you vote for the other. And as we go further through the examples, fewer percentages of people play, but still roughly equally. So let's get to the bottom of this. So a watch and an engine are both what we would call complicated systems. And by that, I mean that they are causal systems. There's a cause and effect relationship between their components. And while they might be rich with lots of components, there might be lots of pieces, and it might even require an expert to fix them, they are not going to surprise us. They are predictable. They are knowable. If you take your car into the mechanic on Friday and it's not working and they say it'll be ready on Monday, it probably will be. And it certainly won't surprise you with, you know, a clown is not going to jump out of the engine when you pick it up, right? It's a known thing. It's a knowable thing. And so an expert can do that. When you have a problem in a complicated system, you can solve that problem. You can solve the problem. Then we have complex systems. Complex system is like weather or traffic or your immune system or a 6-year-old. Things that we can't predict, right? That we have a sense, we call them dispositional systems. They have a vector, they have a way they're trending, right? It looks like it's probably going to rain today, but we can't be sure exactly how much and exactly where, right? The only way to understand a complex system is to interact with it, to go outside, to be in it, to poke it, to see what happens when something occurs. And so you're always in dialogue, you're always in engagement with a complex system. The best way to identify one is if the thing you're looking at has a chance of surprising you, it's probably a complex system. If it's going to just come out of nowhere with a reaction you don't expect. And so with a complex system, problems are not solved, they are only managed, right? Nobody ever comes in from the garden and says, honey, I fixed the garden. It's done. Right? That doesn't happen. You have to nurture it. You have to be, you know, in relationship with the garden. And the same thing goes for a 6-year-old, right? You can try your damnedest to get that kid to go to the school of your choice. It might work, might not. So complex systems require that kind of interaction. So then the question becomes, well, what does that mean for organizations? So what do you think? What conclusions might you draw from your recent master's in systems theory? What's that? The organization is a complex. Yeah, the organization is a complex system. It's not a complicated one. There are complicated tasks and problems inside an organization. If I ship a FedEx envelope, there's a very high probability it's going to arrive the next day. But the culture, the way of working, the dynamics of the organization with 10 or 100 or 10,000 or 100,000 people working together is, of course, very complex, and most obviously because we human beings are complex. So you put a bunch of us together, that can only be more, right? And so if that's true, then that means that the way we engage with the organization when we think about culture and way of working and change has to be appropriate. It has to be fit to the context. So for example, when I talk to leaders who are quite frustrated because they've just gone through a culture change initiative where they wrote down all the values on posters and put the posters up and people are still not behaving differently, I laugh because effectively they're shouting at the weather, right? They're just sort of like, you know, yelling at a thing that doesn't respond to that. You can yell at the weather, you can yell at the garden all you like. That's not how things change in a complex system. The way things
So, I mean, this is very interesting, but I'll stop it here. So, organization, as we learned, is a complex system because it's made up of human beings. They behave differently in different point in time. And when it's a shopping center, then the complexity increases to a very large degree. For example, retailers have their own viewpoints. They know their consumers. That's what they like to believe. Then the consumer also is like very difficult to predict. I mean, we can say that this kind of sales will happen on a weekday, this kind of sales will happen on a weekend. So there is a trend, but we cannot be very certain at any day that this is going to happen and this sales will happen today. So 2 points. First, we are into infinite game for sure. It's not a finite game because consumers, shopping center, everything is like it's infinite. It continues forever. So if we recall, infinite game will only end when you lose the will or the resources. Otherwise, it will continue. Secondly, it's a complex situation. Within complex situation, there are some complicated situations which have very clear answers, can be fixed very easily. But as an overall marketing of a shopping center is a complex situation. And when we are talking about complex situations, there's only possibility thinking. So there are no problems in shopping center management. It's only situations. What I'm trying to say that when we say problems are difficult to handle. But when there are situations, then if your team is equipped to have a possibility thinking, that what possibility can be taken out of this situation. For example, if something is not working out, if there's something is not happening the way you want it to happen, then there's a situation and the situation can easily be managed. If the team is always thinking on possibility thinking, is not, I mean, we all agree with this point, but this is the most difficult point to implement. Whenever something goes wrong or something doesn't work the way we want it to work, we feel limited. On the other hand, this Aaron Dignan clearly says that if the team is equipped to think in a way which is possibility thinking, then situation can be used to your advantage. It may appear to be as a problem. For example, if a tenant leaves, or if a tenant leaves not because of sales or because of many other reasons, then this is also an opportunity to work around the tenant mix, the occupier mix, brand mix, and create another story for a shopping center, or giving another reason for the consumers to come to the shopping center. Lastly, on this setting context is beautiful line from Peter Drucker: culture eats strategy for the breakfast. Now, I have to confess that I took at least 10-12 years and I still do not comprehend completely. 10-12 years, my professional coach shared this line with me, and I couldn't understand at that point in time. I struggled and I continue to struggle, but this one line is so important. And I have tried and implemented this line and tried to do in my own organization. And for example, if you want to bring in a change, you can hire the best company, best consultant. You can form a best strategy. But if the culture is not adaptive to that strategy, then strategy will finish in the first few days itself. And everybody will get together to prove that the strategy was wrong. Instead of changing to or working towards the strategy, what will happen? It will look like that the strategy was wrong. I mean, it has happened in many aspects of day-to-day lives in our professional work. So culture eats strategy for breakfast is to be remembered. I mean, one can hire the best CTO in the company, best person in the company to bring in the change you want. But if the culture, if the team is not aligned to that change, then it is very difficult to bring about that strategy into practice. So in simple words, it means that no matter how well designed our strategy is, it will only, fall flat unless the teams shares the appropriate culture. So this was setting the context from the business point of view. Moving forward. So we'll spend some time on marketing, services marketing, and then logo marketing versus brand marketing, and by Seth Godin, a well-known author. So in marketing, it's not a battle, not a war, not a contest. Many times in organizations, we have a key and we are looking for a lock. We have a resource, we have resources, we want to do something, and we are trying to do something in the marketing. Whereas this approach is very, very outdated. You cannot have a key and look for the locks. No, I mean, you have to have a lock first and then find the key for it. So many times when an organization is not working well, or there's some shortage of footfall, or there is some problem, then the CEO or the promoter will say, okay, let's spend something on the marketing. This approach, I'm afraid, will not be able to do justice to what we are trying to do. There is desired results will not be there. In fact, it is a generous act of helping someone solve a problem. So first we have to see a problem and then try to find a solution to the problem, and then spread it. That's the way step 1, step 2, step 3 comes. So the marketing is not to solve your problem, the organization problem. The marketing has to solve the problem of the consumer. So this is very chicken egg story. I mean, most of organizations I have come across, they try to solve their problems through marketing. That's why the results are not coming. If the marketing team is able to solve one problem of the consumer, of the proposed consumer, may not be existing consumer, then the job will be taken care of. It's a chance to serve instead. I mean, instead of it's not something which we are trying to do for someone. It's first finding the gap and then trying to fill that gap. And for this, empathy is the most important. If you have to put yourself into the shoes of the consumer, the persona of the consumer, which we are trying to target to come to the shopping center. So many times team comes up for, they have something to talk about, and then we use channels. So very interesting talks happen in every within the teams, that how many Instagram followers you have, how many Facebook followers do you have. These are only channels to spread the story or spread the word or trying to fix a situation. It's not the other way around that you want to communicate. These are the channels to communicate the problem you're trying to solve or a problem you're trying to address. So it's time to stop spamming and pretending that you are welcome. No, every organization I've come across says that the customer is the king, customer is the most important, and customer is always welcome. But hardly we spend any time on understanding the consumer and then trying to really better the experience of the consumer. So we have to start with empathy to see a real need. Unless we are able to see a real need, then we are unable to do it. Find a solution. Focus on a smallest viable market. So many times the marketing team wants to do something bigger, which is very, very out of the world, very, very drastic. But no, it has to start with small viable market. Then automatically, if the solution is right for the consumer, it is serving some purpose, then it will automatically become the larger market. Then once you have done something for the consumer, you have to come out with some solution, then we have to earn and keep the attention. In today's world, keeping the attention going and the trust ongoing, trust is very, very difficult. There are so many options, there are so many choices. So it is very, very hard work first to do something and then keep the attention and trust of the consumer. So people like us do things like this. This is the catch line where everybody wants to feel belong to. Moving forward, reaching the right people. So we hear these words like goals, strategy, and tactics. So in reverse order, if we talk about tactics are easy to understand because we can list them. For example, many people in this category are only talking about tactics. For example, if a shopping center is doing a Christmas tree, the other mall will also try to do a Christmas tree. So tactics can be copied very easily. I mean, your competition can steal tactic very easily. Strategy is more amorphous. I mean, it's not visible. It is little bit of inconspicuous. We're not visible to many people. And it's the umbrella over the tactics, the work the tactics seeks to support. So tactics are only supporting the cause of the strategy. They're there to achieve something. Next is, and the goal, which is the highest in the order, is the thing that we are trying to seek the change. So unless we are very clear about the goal, unless we form a very good strategy, then tactics are only have limited agenda, and they will result in something, but it will not be around the desired objective. Is it clear up to here? Yeah. So competition can steal tactics, but not your strategy and not your goal. I have seen it in shopping center industry. Whenever there is somebody trying to do something, the competition also catches up very quickly and says that, okay, we are also doing this, we are also doing that. But many a times we forget that there is a strategy behind, there's a goal behind, there is a bigger objective behind doing those tactics, and it's not the other way around. And that's where like some shopping centers fall short of achieving what they had set out to achieve. Moving forward. So key points, just to summarize this topic. Trust is not static. You may have a lot of consumers at the moment, they trust you, but if you are not at it, it will slip very quickly before you know it. Inertia by definition means that which creeps in without you knowing about it. So trust is not static. You have to keep working on it, and you have to keep evolving on daily basis. This is my favorite, tyranny of being perfect. Whenever you want to do something in the marketing team, there will be some members in the hierarchy, maybe your peer like colleagues, peers, or your seniors or promoters or anybody. They would ask for the perfect solution, and they will punch holes in your presentation, or say that, okay, you're trying to do this, but you're forgetting this. So what happens? It handicaps, it paralyzes the whole initiative. One cannot start with perfection. I mean, this is so commonsensical. It is so easy to know. Most of us know it, that it's very difficult to start with perfection. Good enough is good enough. The only difference between a successful shopping center and a shopping center which is not doing so well is the service recovery or the reaction time to correct. I have like hundreds of examples where as a manager, I have done something wrong, but autonomy given to me to perform, to correct my decision, is one thing which really empowers the team. And I mean, you get the point. I mean, the short point is that one cannot start with perfection. Good enough is good enough. Start small somewhere, and as we go along, we perfect the strategy. And for this, you have to really sell very hard internally, because there are always wise people who will punch holes and will paralyze the impact on the initiative. For example, if you start something and it doesn't work for say 1 month or 2 weeks or 5 weeks, people lose hope because it is not bringing desired results. I've seen many brands doing that they didn't have patience to complete the cycle or perfect the model. They ran out of resources or will, like a finite game, that, okay, in 3 months we didn't do that much. So one has to start with good enough and the reaction time. The most important is reaction time. If you're sure that it's not going to work, then cut the losses and move fast, but give it enough time to bring in the results. So that's the balance which comes with the experience and learning from others' mistakes. So marketing is always to ask, whatever initiative we are taking, who is it for, what is it for, and how will it reach the early adopters and your feelings. So early adopters, I want to spend 30 seconds. They are very, very important for a shopping center point of view. You do something new, early adopters will come running. They will talk about it. They will criticize. They will find fault. They will give you feedback. They are very, very good at it. And sometimes there is a initial success, but slowly it dies down. They do not reflect the long-term view of the shopper's behavior. I'll pause to give, a little bit seriousness to this topic. Many times in a shopping center, from my personal experience, if you do something nice, you think it will work. It will work. Early adopters will really flock there, and they'll come and they will try to praise, and they say, wow, it's a talk of the town. And then within few weeks, months, it will die down. So when I reflect on these situations, I really feel that early adopters are important to create noise, because they are the ones who are bravest, the courageous ones who come out and know they really, right? But you cannot take a long-term decision based upon early adopters. There are many examples. When Cocoberry came, the whole town was going to Cocoberry. When Red Mango came, everybody was going to Red Mango. Pretzel came. Bagels. Everybody in Europe has bagels in the morning in the breakfast. Everybody, but then they died down very quickly. So one has, as a shopping center professional or marketing team member, one has to be very, very sure that are we getting swayed by the early adopters, or is it conveying something which is long-term sustainable? Because shopping center is not talking about a week or 10 days or a month. The life of a shopping center can be really, really very long, and you can really and if you feel that you want to experiment, when I want to experiment, then do pop up, do small initiatives to learn, and many a times let the opportunity go. It's okay. It's okay that if somebody else gives them the opportunity, thinking that initially, many times our promoter would say that, oh, we missed this opportunity. But only the time will tell that it was a missed opportunity, and what stops us from bringing it back. We may lose that 3 months, 6 months, saying that we were not the first ones to have that brand with us. But the mall is for more than 3 months, 6 months. Mall is for long term. Moving to next. Why will they tell their friends? No matter how much I shout as a shopping center manager that, I'm the best, please come, it has very limited value unless consumers start talking about it. And why will they tell their friends the good experiences and bad experience? You trust me, the negative publicity is much, much faster, and it overtakes. People don't talk about good things that much. It's established fact. So one has to give the experience to the consumer who is already there in the mall, so that they are able to talk about it to their friends, and then the marketing of shopping center will be taken care by the consumers itself, retailers, consumers, and it will be having a viral effect instead of only the shopping center marketing head talking about it. And sometimes the shopping center's marketing head is also not even a consumer of the mall. Many times the promoters of the mall or the CEO of the mall may not be even the shopper of the mall. So going back to the point of empathy, unless we are able to clarify that what is the change we are trying to seek, what is the solution, what is the pain point we are trying to address, unless that is not clear, the strategy will be wrong and the tactics will be mediocre. I'm not saying that these will not have any effect, but it will not have that desired effect. So this is also very relevant from shopping center point of view, and I have lived this in my my journey with CityWalk, that any advantage which comes is very transient. Transient means, it's very, very short-lived, but it's important. It's very, very critical, but it's short-lived. So this is a way, I picked up this from Harvard Business Review article. It says that, anything you do, you launch, you see that the early adopters, the people who are wanting to do a very good thing, you hear good things about it, you ramp it up very quickly, then exploit it, or exploit is a very slightly negative word. You use it to your advantage, then reconfigure. Either you have to do something about it to extend the life of that advantage, or you disengage. So many times, I can give many examples. Some brands came, they were very hot, very, very wanted for consumers catchment, and we could not afford to miss them. But somehow, so by adding them to the shopping center, it made a very, very they put us in a very, very advantageous position. But slowly, that advantage died down. And either we had to request them to either optimize the space, make it smaller, because they were relevant for some people, for some category or some catchment, some consumers. But at the same time, they did not bring in that kind of advantage to occupy that kind of space, and the noise died down slowly. So either we reconfigure or we disengage. I mean, this is the point I really want to. This is, yeah. Moving forward, this is also relevant. The progression of economic value. Now we started with the commodities, then goods slowly, then services, and then experiences. So these are the differentiators. I mean, how do you differentiate your shopping center? Many times they are common brands. I mean, just to name, Nike is a Nike here, Nike there. Then within that, we have to talk to the brands to how do they differentiate, because shopping center can do that much. I mean, beyond a point. So the brands, it's a platform for the brands. So brands have to differentiate their stores. So almost every brand we talk to in the shopping center, we talk to them about how can they differentiate their. Within Nike, there could be some offering. Within the service, they can add some service. Within the staff, they can add something which is only women's store or only men's store. I mean, it could be anything. It could be longer hours. It could be launching new merchandise with us, or going on EOSS one day before, or they do a lot of things. Each brand does a lot of effort for their. I have seen. I mean, it's not easy to be a retailer, so it's very difficult for retailer to differentiate themselves with their competition. For example, I don't want to name the brands, but it's very simple. I mean, you can understand what I'm trying to say. That one brand A versus brand B, they are vying for the same consumer, so they are trying to differentiate their products. Lastly, on this point, shopping center always will have a story, but retailers will have stories, many stories. Each retailer will have a story every week, if not every fortnight, every month. Their new merchandise coming out, how they stand out, how they are fighting their own competition. So the role of a shopping center marketing head, marketing manager, marketing team, marketing executive, anybody in the chain, is to amplify those stories. The stories are already existing. How long you can talk about that? Please come to the mall. Mall is good. I mean, there's limit to that. And why? So going back to the point that retailers are trying to solve that problem for the shopping center. They have something which consumers are not only needing. Need is a very like at the lower level. They are trying to fulfill the wants, the aspirations of the consumers. So we have to pick up those stories, work with the retailer, and amplify those stories in order to stage experiences. And as an aggregator of brands, or as a offering of a platform for the brands to come and display the merchandise, this collaborative marketing, which we'll cover later. Yeah. Moving on this point. Yeah, this is my favorite point. Logo marketing versus the brand marketing. Marketing as a subject, I have not studied professionally as an education, but I have been part of this shopping center, and I meet marketing heads of most of the brands. I have a lovely marketing team which does agree with me all the time. So I have promoters, I mean, who are very well versed with this subject. So that makes my job very interesting. If it's not difficult, it's very interesting that we have very varied points of view. And I see many times myself, I mean, doing, falling for this trap of logo marketing. Logo marketing is only part of the brand marketing strategy. It cannot be the marketing strategy, and many people confuse this with advertising. कि अभी मॉल में फुटफॉल थोड़ा कम हो गया है, तो अब एडवर्टाइजमेंट कर लेता थोड़ी सी. That's very limited. I mean, this tactic is very short-lived. Maybe who reads that newspaper, that page. And when you give a shopping center advertisement, and then there are hundreds of brands in it, which brand to put, which brand not to put, and whether the consumer will be happy about it, or they will start coming to the mall because seeing that ad. because now they have everything on their phones. Social media is so active. Brands are, I mean, the attention span is so small these days. So I'll play this video. It's a slightly long video, but I will keep it to some.
And what can other brands learn from this particular case study? We stand for this. People like us do stuff
Right.
like this.
So let's talk about the difference between a logo and a brand, right? Because companies spend way too much time on their logo, just like people on YouTube spend way too much time on their hair. I'm told they spend way too much time on their hair. If Nike opened a hotel, I think we would be able to guess pretty accurately what it would be like. If Hyatt came out with sneakers, we'd have no clue, because Hyatt doesn't have a brand. They have a logo. If I swapped the signs on a hotel at that price point, you couldn't tell. If you were in a Marriott, if you were in Hilton, if you were in a Hyatt, the hallway, the room, I don't know, where am I? No brand. So what it means to have a brand is you've made a promise to people. They have expectations. It's a shorthand. What should I expect the next time? And if that is distinct, you've earned something. If it's not distinct, let's admit you make a commodity and you're trying to charge just a little bit extra for peace of mind. The problem that Hyatt and Hilton and Marriott and the rest have is sort by price. Because if I go online now to find a hotel, it's really simple. Sort by price. Why would I pay $200 extra to go a block away? I don't. So what's the value of a brand? The value of a brand is how much extra am I paying above the substitute? And if I'm not paying extra, you don't have a brand. So when we think about what brands ought to do to move forward, the most important thing is to not worry about your slogan, your spokesperson, the wrapping. It's to worry about the substance.
Isn't it beautiful? I mean, very quickly, like in very few lines, he explains beautifully. I know many shopping centers who are working so hard only on the brand, on the logo, not on the brand. I know a shopping center has changed their logo 3 times. And they have worked. I'm not saying that they have not worked on the brand marketing, but the more emphasis is on the logo marketing than the substance itself. So as Seth Godin clearly says, if the substance is correct, then the brand marketing is the next, and the logo marketing is a smaller part of the brand marketing. And brand marketing comes with what do you expect from that brand. So as Nike's example is very clear. Talking about like Select City Walk, I feel so proud to be associated with this shopping center. Today, Select City Walk, we find it difficult to decipher that what does it stand for. I mean, but there is freshness, there is trust, there is convenience, there is new brands, new memories. I mean, place to create new memories. So that's, I mean, we always debate internally that knowingly, unknowingly, consciously, unconsciously, we have created a brand which stands for something. So I'll take a pause here, and if anybody has any query or any remark or anything you want to add, please feel free. Anji, over to you.
Yeah, so I request all my viewers, if they have something in their mind or they want some clarification, please post your questions so that Professor Yogeshwar may satisfy you. Okay, Yogeshwar, we have got a question from Sheetal Choksi. The question is, any new technologies that can be used for mall marketing?
Yeah. So again, we come back to the point that there are many new possibilities because of the technology. Metaverse is one of the biggest disruptor which is coming. And now again, Sheetal, one point here I want to say, I mean, I will come to the marketing of a shopping center in the next session, continuing with this session. The challenge is all these are mediums. First and the foremost is that we have to create the story, seek the change? I mean, what are we trying to address? Rest of the things are only channels. For example, Instagram, Facebook, new channel, I mean, Twitter, LinkedIn, and all these are only channels, print ads, above the line, below the line. All these are channels to disseminate the story or the change we are trying to bring in. So the emphasis is of this session today is how do we create stories of the brands? How do we amplify those stories? And then the mediums are very easy, very easy. I mean, these are the easiest part of the whole game. But the first and the foremost challenge, Sheetal, is to really be very clear. What does the shopping center stands for? What are we trying? Who is it for? I mean, what consumer? I mean, are we want to generally just splash it all over? And a shopping center cannot be for everyone, in the sense, and the kind of brands we put in, it defines the consumers. So while working for a, so I at the moment I would like to limit my saying that channels are many. They will keep coming and going. Radio, I mean, we could talk about any channel, but first is to address the consumer's need, the change we are trying to see, find the stories and amplify those stories. Channels are many, and channel will also be dependent on the what is the behavior pattern of the consumer. For example, new age people, I mean, if you give a print ad, my like 24-year, 25-year, they don't read newspaper. They say that they get the news on the phone all the time.
Yogeshwar, we have got a question from anonymous attendee. It's related to marketing. If you are nearby area, community, all are working class and they all are free on weekends only. So what will be the perfect marketing strategy on weekdays for footfall? Should I repeat the question?
No, it's clear to me.
Yeah.
So basically, what we're trying to address is that the capacity, in the sense that like restaurants have this problem, or cinema has this very important issue, wherein everybody wants to watch a movie on Friday evening or a Saturday evening or Sunday evening, and there are no tickets available. Whereas Monday morning, Tuesday morning, Wednesday mornings, the shows are empty. I mean, so similarly in shopping center also, we also face this situation that weekends are capacity issues, that Saturday, Sunday, 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock, there's no place to park the car. But at the same time, on Monday, Thursdays, Wednesdays, we have like capacity available. So the only way what we tried to do was trying to as Select City Walk marketing team, what we did, we started understanding the pattern first and foremost, working very closely with the retailer, knowing their consumer behavior pattern, because as a shopping center manager, we only know the number of footfalls, but at a store level, we exactly know how much is the frequency, when are they coming, what are they buying, when are they. So I would say that creating offers and relevant content so that people are able to come out. So now we see a lot of serious shoppers who do not want to come into the when there is capacity issues on parking, there are too many people in them, and there's a waiting time for a restaurant. They have started coming in the weekdays. So we have to get a little closer, expose our shopping center, the brand mix, and their offering. For example, loyalty also really helps, because in what we started doing that from on weekdays, Monday to Thursday, the first half of the shopping center, anybody comes, they will be given a special offers, special discounts. Discount is only one part of it, but it's a very important aspect because these days online is offering huge discounts. So getting a little bit, getting to know the consumer, going closer to him, what motivates that person to come, and extending the operating hours. I mean, in Delhi, most of the markets used to shut down at 8 o'clock, but we were the first shopping center who started remaining open up to 11 p.m. That really helped. People could go back. Our flea market was operational till 12:30. Cinema show finishes at 2:53 3 a.m. on the leasing side, the people have to really think of bringing in new set of consumers, and fitness first, I mean, was a very, very big advantage to us. They start coming at 6 a.m. The breakfast business, though it's small, but it started now as a habit. So as a marketing person, the challenge is how to like fitness people. I mean, you can do a morning yoga class, morning running class, and within fitness, I mean, there are so many categories. So one has to always look for new interests, people, why people will come to a shopping center. So this answer has to come from the catchment, from the people, from the brands, work closely with the brands. And I hope I answered partially.
Okay, Yogeshwar, you have got a lot of many questions. So I'm taking Sushil Paras's question. His question is how to use data science and artificial intelligence in marketing in order to form a brand, not logo.
Absolutely, absolutely. Very, very good question. I mean, thanks, Sushil. Now, earlier there were many decisions which were by the gut feeling. You know, we knew it's working, but there was not enough data to support that. But with the help of technology now and artificial intelligence, now there are solutions available. We have done some pilots in the past. Only thing, the implementation couldn't be done because either the cost was too high or the solution was a little bit not mature enough to handle that kind of load. But data definitely helps retailers. Data versus our footfall, our data in the shopping center. There's too much of data. So this data really helps us to change our strategy, to tweak our strategy, to reach to them in a more efficient manner, and to offer what the consumer is looking forward to. And I mean, there are heat maps possible in the shopping centers these days. You know the consumer journey. Where is the customer coming from? Why they are coming to, and how much dwell time they are spending? How many, what are they buying? Their shopping habits. So once you know this data, and then you work on this data to give more clarity to the marketing team and to reach the consumer.
Okay, Smita Khiladi is asking, is mall loyalty is good marketing strategy?
Yes, but I mean, unfortunately, nobody has been able to crack it in a very, very efficient manner because of the reasons. Over the last 15 years, we also we have a loyalty program, rewards program in Select City Walk, which is working very, very beautifully. But it is not scalable because as a shopping center, we have limited offerings, in the sense loyalty is always associated with some benefits, some convenience, something to differentiate the consumer from an ordinary consumer. No, that's the objective of a loyalty program. Now, as a shopping center, we can think of many things, but at the same time, we are also somewhere we have to collaborate with the retailers to support that loyalty program. So, for example, in case of our rewards program, we get vouchers, conditional vouchers, sometimes unconditional vouchers from all the retailers, 200 retailers in the shopping center. They contribute a particular amount of vouchers every month to the shopping center, and our responsibility is to distribute those to the consumers in a very efficient manner. And then it's a vicious cycle. So, I mean, a consumer buys something, he becomes eligible for a voucher or a discount on an offer, and then they go back to the consumer, to the retailer, and then they buy. So loyalty program, to summarize, is very, very important. It is working in most of the malls in some form or the other, but I feel there's a scope of improvement in this on this aspect of loyalty program. It is very useful to say it in the short term.
Yogeshwar, Mr. Mangesh Deshmukh, his question is radio an effective medium of advertising?
I think so. I think
in today's digital world.
Yes, it is still relevant, but depends on what kind of content we are trying to. Traffic situation in most of the towns, and whether it's we are traveling from Noida to Delhi or Mumbai, I mean, we spend too much time in our cars, and I think that's the time we are. Some of the consumers are on radio, and we have tried this medium and it has worked for us. For example, when now Christmas is coming, so maybe a jingle on the radio, and it's very difficult to get an ROI that, okay, I spent that much money. So how many consumers came after listening to radio is very difficult. But it definitely helps when we,
Mr. Dheeraj Kumar, his question is, there was a time multiplex used to be the main reason to visit malls. What's now post-COVID as per your experience? Is it F&B or retail or something else?
So 4 categories are doing extremely well. One is beauty, second is athleisure category, third is electronics, and fourth is F&B, all day casual dining. These 4 categories are really doing extremely well. Cinema has taken a hit. Still, it's not back to what it used to be. It was very important and critical before COVID. We used to see a spurt in sales whenever there was a good movie coming. The cinemas were full, at least on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and the people used to come and eat out, like, because shopping and like cinema, I mean, may not go hand in hand, but cinema and F&B, food, goes very well hand in hand. So it used to be a very important, but it is not back to where it was. We are hopeful it is coming back slowly, that the curve is slightly slow in showing results because of the movies and because of the OTT platforms. Most of the movies are now going there, but I'm very positive and hopeful that it continues to be an important for a shopping center. And we clearly see that how many people, because you can easily find out how many seats are full. You clearly see how many people are coming to watch movies. So, and cinema, our partner like PVR now with Inox, they are putting their best foot forward to revive it. And I see green shoots, and I'm hopeful that it will revive.
Okay, Yogeshwar, I'm taking the last question. The rest we'll cover in the second session. And Ankit Talesara, the question is, what is your view? Does it make a difference to have experience zones, unique decor, event in attracting shoppers? What is the most successful event you have done so far at Select City, and why? This is the last question for this session. Yeah.
So, I mean, all of these things are very important. But again, these are tactics in the sense they are part of the strategy, but these are not the strategy that you do decor and that's it. Decor is part, one of our promoter clearly says all the time that a shopping center is a microcosm of a society, in the sense that whatever society wants to do, I mean, a shopping center has to really take an initiative and take a lead to do that. So whenever some festival comes, we are the first ones. We try to be the first ones, not, I mean, in terms of timing. I mean, we try to create something for that kind of catchment. And one thing I really want to emphasize is that society is not one society. It looks like one society, like Delhi, South Delhi. But within that society, there are so many sub-societies, in the sense, even if you decipher one category, fitness, for example. Let's take, for example, fitness. Within fitness, for an outsider, it will look like that fitness is one category, but when you go deeper into it, within fitness there are runners, there are cyclists, there are Zumba dancers, there are yoga people, there are cycling, spinning, so a shopping center has to always go deeper into the category. Even in the beauty, for example, beauty, I mean, it looks very simple from outside, but when you get deeper into it, there's a lipstick available at 250 rupees and there's a lipstick available at 2,500 rupees. And they're different consumers. I mean, the person who is buying 250 rupees lipstick will never, I mean, in the short term, will not buy a 2,500 rupees lipstick. Whereas vice versa, it's not possible. But both are different consumers. Within beauty, you will see the personal care, the color, perfumery. I mean, it's a very deep category. So as a shopping center professional, we have to get deeper into the consumer's needs, wants, aspirations. Aspirations are like needs, and wants are like, okay, I mean, lifestyle is still okay. We survived COVID and the recovery was very good because South Delhi women, it's lifestyle to buy, I mean, these products. I mean, it's not aspiration, but we needed a catchment, which is, they don't have this lifestyle, but that's the aspiration they have. The frequency may be lower, but they come when there's a birthday. So all these decor events, it's a myth that a shopping center is meant for shopping. I see people, shopping happens, but it is a place where people want to create memories. People come, our marketing team is very clear that everybody has a house, everybody has a place of work. The third place they want to go, other than office and their home, should be Select City Walk. So shopping center managers' role is to create, to give opportunities for them to create memories. And look at the selfies, look at the amount of pictures, and when they start posting, so they are doing the job of the marketing team of Select City Walk. No, these are the additional hands and innumerable additional hands which are there. So these are important, but can we leave it there only just by doing decor and by just leave it there? No, that the answer is no. These are part of the strategy, the goal we try to achieve, bringing in new people to the mall and allow them to have a emotional connect with the shopping center. No.
Yogeshwar, I'm taking, in fact, I'm clubbing two questions. One is from Priyanka Thakur. The question is, what do you suggest for tier 2 cities as the best marketing strategy? And the second question is from Amneet Bali. Does influencer marketing works for malls?
Absolutely. So I'll answer the second one first. Influencer marketing, definitely every influencer has some following, some followers. So for a shopping center, you cannot have one influencer. You have to have too many influencers in each area of specialization, so that they are able to influence the followers, and it definitely helps. And it's I feel that sometimes it's more targeted, because each influencer will have some very well clearly defined set of followers. So if you spend some time there, if you use that influencer in the right, and the product is right, I mean, we have to go back to the same thing. If the product is right, it has substance in it, then influencer marketing, that's the core. If that's not right, then I mean, no kind of influencer will be able to work. But influencer marketing definitely helps. It costs less. It is very, very targeted. So I'm always in for influencer marketing. The first question was that how do we do marketing in the
Tier 2 cities.
Tier 2 cities. Tier 2 cities, I mean, when I speak with the retailers on daily basis, tier 2 cities are more profitable for the retailers. Because the cost of occupancy is low. Maybe the new brands, the people, consumers are able to. So I'm very, very enthusiastic on this point, that tier 2 people will be more emotionally attached to the neighborhood center or the destination center you have created. So again, instead of just shouting that we are open, now come, we have to go a little deeper. We have to understand the catchment. And one will never be able to understand the consumer. Consumer is evolving so fast, and I know their wants and aspirations are so quickly changing that the shopping center finds it so difficult to really adapt to that, or really keep evolving with the same speed as the consumer is evolving. But in tier 2, I feel many times having limited budgets and only talking about shopping center will not work. One has to really highlight the merchandise, highlight the offerings of the retailers. As a marketing team of a shopping center, you have very limited things to talk about, as I mentioned. But when you go down to the level of retailer, in that sense, when you collaborate with the retailer, then you have so many stories to talk about. I mean, we find it so difficult. I mean, the problem is of plenty. It's not shortage. You go to any brand, Tommy has another story today, US Polo has another story today, Calvin Klein has another story, Zara has a new launch. There's so many stories, and they are doing their efforts. So once you're able to collaborate with the retailer and put together their stories, amplify their stories, or take interest in how they are trying to market, this collaborative marketing in the tier 2 cities will bring in results which will surprise you. Trust me, I mean, I have not worked in tier 2 cities. So my gut feel maybe plus minus 10-20%, but I'm very, very positive because I observe some centers, and it's not the push factor. I mean, you can't just be there and say that now you come to me. Those days are gone, because people have choices. They can buy online. I mean, it's not about shopping. It's about creating memories, giving them convenience, giving them whatever they are looking forward to, or raising the aspirations. I mean, and many times we are very impatient in the as a human as shopping center professionals. We do something and we want people to buy it tomorrow and see the increase in footfall tomorrow or see the sales going up. I mean, कि हमने campaign किया है, so now we'll have a lot of people in the mall. It's not. It is very, very organic. You are trying to do something which is long drawn. Even one Diwali is not enough. At least 2 Diwalis or 2 festive seasons are minimum required to see that you are on the right path or not. So one has to form a strategy just to go closer to the consumer, understand what they are trying to buy. There's the challenge is there's always a disconnect between the retailer's offering and the consumer needs. So if we are able to fill those, and retailer is already trying to do that, retailer is 100% on it. They are trying their best to create something new, aspiring, which the consumer will buy. Now as a shopping center, we have to help the cause. I'll stop here.
And I think now let's start our second session. Viewers, we will be asking all your questions. So now we are starting with the second session.
Okay.
After
So,
that, we shall be asking all your questions.
Sure. So I have covered most of the points. I mean, in question answer or
Yeah.
So so there's very little left. And if Anjeev, if you permit, maybe we can continue this session at some other point in time as well, because today I could only cover the basic mindset challenges and the business. How do we visualize this business? Because if we only talk about marketing without understanding the finite versus infinite game or versus complicated problem versus a complex situation, the shopping center is not complicated. It is complicated is only one aspect of it. I mean, parking is complicated. You can set it right, but having said that, many malls have not set that right also, though it's doable, it's rational, it's doable. But the complex part of the shopping center, that how much sales will happen. Or some people like when we project that how much sales will happen in December, for example, it is it's not complicated. It's such a complex situation that it is dependent on the merchandise of I saw one question that the business is so dependent on retailers' merchandise also. For example, there's a brand, big brand, without naming it. So my revenue share is linked with their sales. So now, if their merchandise is not up to the mark for some reason, their buying happens wrong, or that there is a stock issue, there's a logistics issue, they are not having enough merchandise to sell, then it is directly impacting me. So no matter how bright my marketing plan is, if the merchandise is wrong, it will not result into sales and eventually affecting my P&L as well. So, and the minimum time required to correct that is not days. These are months and sometimes seasons. I mean, it may take 6 months to correct that merchandise. So one has to be very patient, but as long as we're on the right path, I'm sure there are milestones, there are visible effects that we are on the right path. There are indicators. So we have to keep moving on those paths. Moving forward, Anjeev, shall I move forward?
Yeah, please. Let's start second session and see what can be covered in this time. You can extend the timings also. That's not an issue.
Sure.
So let's start second session. Over to Yogeshwar once again.
So now coming to the marketing in the context of in context of a shopping center, there is again a disclaimer. This session is only limited for the already in existing shopping centers. I mean, we will limit our discussions to that only. Existing operational shopping center means that the leasing is almost done and it's in operations, and we want to bring in more people to help them shop more. If we are talking, we have to talk about separately. We'll talk about not today, but some other day. That if we are trying to put together a shopping center, a new shopping center, then also marketing has to play a very, very important role, because it's not be left to the divine that whether a shopping center will work or not. Trust me, many times when we see a shopping center failing, it is not divine that something has gone wrong. It is a complete science. If you put it together rightly, one can predict even the sales and the P&L of that shopping center before we have able to put together the shopping center. So that's very interesting. My interest in how to put together a shopping center in a new catchment, not trying to copy something, just trying to basically. So we'll limit our discussion today only to the once existing shopping centers. Then objective is, so very simple way I have put together a few lines to bring in a critical mass of consumers. For a shopping center to become successful, it is very easy to calculate how many number of shoppers you need. You know, every retailer has their stores, they have the merchandise, they have the average sales price, they have, you know, they have their revenue share, the rentals. So it's very simple mathematics that if so many people come and so many people buy, then the shopping center rentals will be protected and the revenue upside can be expected from the threshold onwards. So the challenge, the target or the job of main job of a marketing team is how to increase relevant footfalls. So footfalls as well as relevant footfalls. So once you see a shopping center, and I tell this to my leasing team, to my marketing, there is no brand which is a good or bad brand. It is the relevance, you know. To take very basic example, Relaxo shoes sells maybe more than the Gucci shoes, but they are relevant for some and irrelevant for some. They will never cross each other. So the point is, we have to talk about relevance of the footfall. Only having footfall is very good, but if you are able to convert that footfalls into relevant footfalls who are shopping more than at one store, spending more time, frequency, coming more often, that's the challenge or the work or the task of a marketing team or the leasing team of a shopping center. So this point I have already covered, that every category, it looks from the outside is one category, but when you go deeper into it, there are many subsets of that each category. I explained beauty, I explained fitness, same in the fashion apparel, same in the cafe formats. So so we have to go as a marketing person of the team, we have to go deeper into each subset of the society, and then find out their needs and recognize them, their needs, and then try to offer those solutions to the gaps. And then the second is the frequency building. There are many formats in the mall which are frequency builders, which by people come again and again. So we have to do events. So there was one question I wanted to add one more point there. It slipped out of my mind. You know, there is one intense activity and one is, so intensity versus consistency. Now, when you call Ranveer Singh to the mall, shopping center, the actor Ranveer Singh, it is a very intense event. It attracts a lot of people, but may not convert into shopping. Is it good for the mall or is it bad for the mall? Very difficult to make an opinion out of it. But it is. I will tilt towards it's good to have, to create a noise because he's coming to talk about some products, or he's associating. No, he's an influencer, big influencer in that way. But by just bringing one big celebrity star into the mall, it comes with a lot of operational hazards. Plus, the shopping doesn't go up. And we have seen it reverse, that many times when such celebrities, not Ranveer Singh, I mean, I talk about anybody else, they come to a shopping center. So for those many hours, the shopping gets so disturbed that the relevant shoppers stays away from the shopping center. Similarly, so whether the intensity is important or consistency, I will believe that consistency is more important. The short events, the small events, targeted events, addressing the needs of a specific segment of the society are equally important. So both have to go hand in hand. You can't only rely on one. You need big events, intense events to create a bigger noise. But at the same time, one has to remain focused on creating so many small reasons for people to come to a shopping center. The objective remains the same: how to help consumers shop more. I mean, the same consumer shopping more, same consumer, coming more number of times to the mall, or it could be another subset of the shopping center. For example, when we did a Korea festival or a Thailand festival or a big event, no, it is visibly brings a new set of consumers which we have not seen in the past. If you do a Japanese festival, so or a fitness festival or a food festival, Asian hawkers market. So I can name so many. I mean, there was one question which was that what was the best event? So it is very difficult to take out one name out of so many events we have done. Just to give you an idea, out of 365 days in 2019, our marketing team headed by Gitanjali had done 250 events. Small events, I mean, not the large scale ones, some large and some small, but most majorly the small ones. So that is the kind of activity happened. And even I'm very emotional about one couple of events, like people who are like suffering or are not well. For example, there's a disease called MSSAI. So this community is and they're so they want to come out, they want to experience the shopping center, but their life is limited to their rooms and hospitals. So we approached that society, MSSI, and we said that let us create something for them specially. And it does take an idea. It's not about money. Money is very, very secondary in such aspects. There's always budgets for these things. And these people were so happy, and each family was connected with 7-10 other people. And similarly, I mean, that you name organization. It could be NGO. It could be we have a lovely puppy stall here in the mall. So people who love dogs or they want to adopt a dog, or that's a new subset, and they are so emotionally attached because they adopted their dog from here. They love them all so much, and they thank us so much. So we have to keep thinking of how to bring in a new subset of shopping center to the shopping center, and shopping is bound to happen. I mean, we don't have to worry about the shopping. I see many other shopping centers now worried about their sales, or worried about कि आज फुटफॉल कम हो गया है, कल बढ़ गया था. मेरा सवाल ये रहता है कि अगर आज कम हो गया तो बताओ क्या करें? मतलब कहीं से बस स्टेशन से बसेस में भर के ले आए लोगों को, या मतलब what is the alternative we are left with if the shoppers are not coming? One has to start from somewhere, start working on it, and it is a long drawn battle. We are asking people to come out of their houses for a reason, to spend time in the mall, spend money in the mall. So it's not going to be an easy job, one, and it's not a quick fix. If we go for quick fixes, those will be the long cuts. I mean, not shortcuts at all. There are no shortcuts in this. One point which I have learned very hard way, vectors. So in each organization, I'll take first example of organization and then the shopping center. There are departments like marketing department, finance department, HR, ops, legal, leasing. So we have to understand that management is man-made. It's not made by the universe. I mean, it's not a tree. It's a man-made concept. Now, generally, what happens as humans, as employees, as colleagues, we have a tendency to shrink inwards. I mean, a leasing team will say, oh, this is not my job, this is marketing job, or operations will say that, no, it's a leasing job, it's not my job. Marketing will say, no, you have already put a bad brand, what do I market about that? So the tendency of each department, generally, I'm not talking about exceptions, generally we have a tendency to shrink. The bigger the organization, the bigger is the shrinkage. That's the best or the worst part. I mean, this gives a scope of improvement in all the organizations. So we as human beings, we have a tendency to shirk work and to do good. Very, very few people who love to come in the morning and work hard. So what happens? The gaps gets increased. For example, marketing will say it's not my job, leasing is not job. The gap, and when I see a lot of retailers, and it's at both ends. It's at in our organization, at retailers' organization also. So it adds to a lot of confusion. The works, there are slippages. People complain that I had written a mail. The person will say it was a leasing problem, marketing problem. But the solution lies in overlap. If an organization is able to have little bit of overlap, not too much overlap, that's also very bad for the organization. But if there is a little bit of overlap, and this is my constant struggle, that marketing, leasing, or any other ops or fit out team has to work so closely. Just to give an example, leasing has done a job well. They have already signed agreement and the fit out starts. Now, the fire team will send a mail that these are things to do, how to do, not to do, what to do, and then when the brand is about to open, the fire team said, "Oh, these are the things to do which you have not done." So I came across this situation many times that okay, and the fire team will with lot of effort and with respect, they will say that we have reminded them 2-3 times and this is on paper, they have signed this and they had promised they will do it. But now they will not allow, and no promoter or no manager would like to compromise on the safety and security issues, especially like kind of fire. So the opening of the store goes delayed. Now there's so much of effort in launch event. Somebody has signed a celebrity, somebody has signed there's a plan, people are flying from New York to open the store, and then you have a problem, and with the problem is so. The short point I'm trying to communicate is that if we are able to have a little bit of overlap, and with legal, I mean, from nowhere the legal will come up and say that this is, and many times, because we are a small organization, very few people, that has worked to our advantage. When a big brand entered Zara, there were many takers. I mean, every shopping center wanted to create space. But because of the agility or this overlap, that legal understood that this is a new brand entering India, needs a specific attention. Leasing team also understood that, okay, we have to make some exceptions. We can't go by the standard law or exceptions which are approved by the board. So the marketing leasing had to work so closely to not let it slip or gift it to any other shopping center. The short point within the organization, and second, with the retailer. If I mean, it's a constant struggle that our marketing team is doing something and the retailers marketing teams are doing something different. Now, how do they overlap? How do they collaborate is the biggest challenge. If you are able to do this, most of the problems will be taken care of, because the budgets become so big. I mean, if the 200 retailers puts in the money and we put in our money and effort and idea and initiatives, there is so much one can be created as a collective wisdom, as a collective effort and initiative. Then we get the desired results. So collaborative marketing, which I talked about. So data, we touched upon this point that data is very important. Now it helps to make decisions faster, clearer, more confident about the decision we are trying to make. Category mix is very important. If by chance, I mean, there's a vacancy comes up, that is not a sad thing. That's a good thing to happen for a shopping center. Now you have the ability to put in a new brand. Now, many times marketing and leasing especially has to work very closely together, because if marketing team comes later, then they have they should be part of the decision making in the leasing team. It's difficult to implement. We struggle on daily basis because of the vectors. We all shrink, we forget, we believe that people know it and the other person knows it, but the category mix has to be looked very carefully. We do not need 5 depending on the size of the mall. We have to very carefully plan categories. What category is occupying how much area of the mall? This marketing should also know. It's not only leasing team has to know. The marketing team also should know that this category is reaching saturation. Don't put another beauty brand, or don't put another apparel brand, or don't put another jeans brand. So the marketing team should also keep an eye on the category mix of the mall, the brand mix within the category mix. I mean, cafe, I mean, as a category, you have like at least 10-12 good cafes available these days. And which one will sell at what price points, what location, and how to amplify their story is the marketing team's job. Events we covered are very important. Intense events and the consistent events. There has to be a calendar. I mean, we broadly, every company has a calendar that we will have Republic Day and Independence Day and Christmas. But the challenge and the struggle is how detailed we can be about it, and how we are able to do something new every mall has a Christmas tree, every mall has a Santa Claus, every mall has a Independence Day decor, but how much we are able to amplify it and do something to invite members of the community. Brand promotions and previews are very important whenever there's a new launch. Not, I mean, and this could also be for people who are not present in the mall. I mean, but one has to do it very carefully. It should not cannibalize the existing like yesterday itself. No, we had two people who want to do a sushi festival with the brands which are not available in the mall. So one has to be very careful about it, because the objective is to enhance the sales of the existing brands. If somebody from outside comes and pays us a little bit of money for this, we cannot cannibalize the sales of our existing long-term partners who are selling the same product. But we have to look for a complementary or supplementary, or do something which is slightly adding the value, not deleting the value from the shopping center. Launch events, for sure. Exhibitions, I mean, all kinds of exhibitions we have tried. I mean, when I say all, there's still scope, a huge scope of improvement. We can do exhibition. Festive events are for sure. Influencer events we talked about. Decor is freshness. I mean, sometimes we feel that this decor is there for a while every time we do it, but we forget that from the lens of the consumer, they are not coming every day to the mall. I mean, I may be coming every day. It's my job to come to the mall every day, but consumers are coming. So our promoters were very clear that every day has to be celebrated because there's a new set. It's not that 30,000 people who are coming there are some people who are coming every day, but that percentage is much smaller in comparison to the people who are coming once a week or twice a week. So I will stop here. It's 4:30 now. So anybody who has any question, otherwise we'll plan another session sometime in next week or so.
Okay, so Yogeshwar, we have some questions. In fact, Supriya Arora, her question is, should we go for newspaper and hoardings as they are very expensive? Secondly, should we really do customer offers during the festive time or during slow or off season?
Very good question. I mean, we also debate this internally every campaign which we will launch. Newspaper and hoardings are very expensive, and one has to be very sure that whether the shopping center has that kind of budgets to spend or not. Because I personally feel that the same amount of money can be used in more effective way to achieve the same objective. So again, we go back to what is the objective, what is the goal. I'll give you a very simple example. When a new brand entered in the mall, we said, okay, we will also spend, we asked every brand that what will you do? So in return, they also asked us that what will you do to launch the brand? We said, okay, we'll spend 25 lakhs, just a number, that 25 lakhs rupees of worth marketing. So when actually store opened and all that, so we had this choice to give a full page jacket ad of 20 lakhs of rupees, and we will not be able to monitor or measure the ROI, whether that ad was good, bad, whether it helped the cause or bring in a new consumer. So what we thought, we did a new thing. We went to the retailer and said, we are not going back on our words. We had made a promise. We will spend 25 lakhs. So what we did, we bought merchandise from the same retailer worth 25 lakhs of rupees, which MRP was maybe 40 lakhs of rupees, the vouchers. For example, 25 lakhs I had to spend. So I went to the retailer and bought the merchandise at a 30-40% discount from the retailer. So the MRP, the perceived value of those vouchers was like 40 lakhs, 50 lakhs of rupees. Then I went to another brand within the mall and distributed those vouchers of 1,000 rupees each to the anybody buys, for example, let's take a name for Sephora. For example, Sephora, anybody buys anything at Sephora is eligible to get a 1,000 rupee voucher worth of that brand, the new launched brand. Now, Sephora got a reason to attract consumers. They distributed those vouchers because it was non-competing brand, and those consumers who got that voucher, 1,000 rupee voucher, went back to the same new launched brand, and they spent 1,000 rupees. Like the average price point of that product was like 4,000 rupees. So to utilize that voucher of 1,000 rupees, they had to buy something worth 4,000 rupees. So the collaborative marketing within the shopping center without no spending anything outside. So 4 times of the sales. So first the new launched brand got a sales of 25 lakhs from us, and then 4 times of that they got from the center without doing anything extra. So coming to the point, newspaper ads and hoardings are important when you are launching a shopping center, when you want to tell something big. But in case of shopping center, the a hoarding, no matter how large is the hoarding, what will you write there? 200 brands, 100 brands, 50 brands, it will not be even readable. Even a full page ad, even if you take a full page ad, front page ad, how many brands you can write on that? What will you write, and how much the attention span people have? So I'm not against those big spends. They can be like intense events once or twice a year. For a new launches or new campaign, or just reminding people who have forgotten about the shopping center. But the same amount of money can be used more wisely to attract more people. Second part of this question was that offers are not in shopping centers hands, in the sense there is always a race between who goes on discounts first within the retailers. So many times we tell them that no, the consumers are coming, why are you giving such big offers? But retailers are fighting battles at many front. Sometimes we forget that because if the same product is available online on some price, discounted price, and shopping center is not offering that, the retailer at the shopping center offline is not giving that kind of offer, then it becomes difficult to sell. So the retailers battle is much bigger. They are available on their own sites, they are available on the marketplace, they are available offline. So it is a necessary evil. I wish there was less number of days when the merchandise was available on offer, but that's a reality these days.
Okay, Yogeshwar Madhur Ladda, his question is, in a tier 3 cities, which activations work for getting the top 20% strata of the city again and again?
I think, it's almost similar question that, these tiers are like, is only a classification. Consumer is a consumer, whether they are in tier 1 or tier 2 or tier 3. There is no distinction between the wants, aspirations. It varies from brand to brand, but we all same in some way or the other. So same formula, one has to understand the consumer, not to 100%. Even if we are able to understand our consumers to some degree, the way are they spending time. It's not that they will start shopping the day you put together a shopping center. They're already buying. We live in this misconception that once we put a shopping center, the shopping will start happening. No, shopping is already happening from many decades, many years, from the time immemorial. People are shopping. What are they shopping? What they want to graduate? Where do they want to spend time? No, one has to do a little bit of research on that catchment, and the answers will be so clear. And if it's a new shopping center, then you can even plan the leasing accordingly. And if it's little bit late that you have already put the leasing in place, then the events and marketing becomes more important to bring in, go deeper into that catchment and bring in the relevant people.
Sushil Paraste has a question. There are many middle-class families in the tier 2 cities, but they are not reaching mall. They might have thinking of expensive items in mall, etc. How to convince or tap them to visit mall instead of local markets, especially those who are not much into social media? That is, I think he's talking about the perception about the malls.
Yeah, there is a transition. When we started Select City Walk, there was a big debate that whether the high streets will feel the heat or whether the high street will win or shopping. But now the verdict is so clear, and then this same debate moved from offline versus online. And I feel that every possible format is succeeding, has their own niche. It's not that there's a different consumer for high street, there is a different consumer for mall, and there's a different consumer for online. Now I see within my family, sometimes we go and buy online, sometimes my family buys offline, so they want to come to the mall, sometimes they feel mall में बहुत भीड़ होगा, मेरे को नहीं जाना है, मेरे को पता है high street पे क्या मिल रहा है, मेरे को वहां से लेना है, वहीं जाना है. So point is that these are only, shopping is already happening. We are trying to create another platform where we have to we have to be a preferred platform. And to create that preference, we have to have a differentiated product, not only in terms of brands, but also in terms of the services we are doing. We did not talk about services today, shortage of time, but the parking is such a convenience. So we have to add a lot of conveniences, little bit of freshness, little bit of decor, little bit of opportunities to participate, recognize, personalized messages, delivery at home. So there are too many things to talk about. We'll continue to talk some other time.
Acha, the Kaushik Roy, Kaushik Roy, his question is, how well does loyalty programs work for luxury malls due to the niche clientele that one has? If yes, then what is the best method of doing it? Can it be app driven? It's a different question.
Not really. I mean, as you go up the ladder in luxury, it has to be more personalized. This is my personal view. One has to go really personalized, because so one thing, again, going back to the same point, that one is to sell more to the same consumers. That's one challenge. Second is how to add more into the same basket. I mean, know how to bring in more people who are aspiring, have money, but are not exposed to what you're trying to tell. So these are the two challenges. So first challenge will always remain personalized loyalty program, where you when anything comes, there's a new launch, you have to connect with the consumer and recognize. And recognition is such an important aspect. I see it happening with me on daily basis. If I walk into my own mall, when I say my mall, I know where I work in the mall. If just by keeping the store open, and if I walk in, if somebody says hello, Yogesh ji, आपको ये चाहिए, वो चाहिए. So suddenly there is a connect. So one thing which I really give feedback to my colleagues and to the retailers is that we spend so much money and time and effort in putting together a mall. We put so much money in fit outs, in merchandise, but sometimes we fall short of training of the sales staff. And that's where the decision is made. So coming back to the luxury, the sales staff is the key, like any other shopping, any other retailer. But in luxury, it becomes more important, because I see that sometimes a good brand, a luxury brand, I mean, if the staff is a little bit intimidated himself, he doesn't understand, he doesn't belong to that consumer, then it becomes difficult to sell for that person. It's none of his fault, because he doesn't belong there. So he will find it difficult to express the selling point of that product. So we have to invest more than anything else in the training of the sales staff, and they are very creative. I mean, trust me, in COVID, there were so many examples where the stores were shut, but the sales managers had such good rapport with the luxury clientele, especially, that they were able to send goods home and still sell with the stores shut. We have so many experiences here in the mall with the Chanel and Dior consumers. They are luxury brands, and in beauty, top of the rank, and consumer knew what they wanted to buy, and the sales team of the brand could sell even during COVID because they were personalized. So loyalty programs, yes, it is very important in any aspect, but luxury, it has to be more personalized. And to bring in new consumer, one has to think out of the box, that how to expand that number of people who are buying luxury. How do we bring in more number of people? It's not the matter of money, it's not matter of they don't want it, but just make it easier for them to buy. Exposing and communicating our merchandise, our proposition to them in the way they will appreciate that. That's the challenge we all have.
Yogesh Tanveer, or Tanveer, whatever his name is asking, what is the best way to support non-performing bleeding stores without spending much?
Yeah, this is very important. Every month we come across, we are able to plot within a category. For example, there are 15 brands So we track the sales, we see how they are performing, and if there is one per brand which is a laggard, which is towards the lower end of the spectrum in terms of sales per square feet or sales. So the first and foremost is to have a dialogue with that the brand manager, the owner, or whosoever is presenting the brand. Really dig deeper that why they are unable to sell. Sometimes the stocks is a problem, sometimes merchandise quality is the issue, sometimes staff is the issue, sometimes logistical issues. There are many issues at everybody's end. Then what happens once you're able to then are they able to market themselves? Then mall can play a very important role. And I respect a lot of MBA colleges, universities, but the best MBA is to see if you take an action, how it resulted in increasing the sales of the store. And that gives so much of joy and thrill, that, for example, if brand was not performing well and we work closely with that brand, and we, even by putting up a signage or by, there's so much you can do within the mall, but if you're able to work closely, that cross promoting it with maybe another brand within present in the mall. So putting all these strategies together and see the brand will start performing. And even despite all efforts, if it's not performing, then there is something wrong or relevance. I mean, wrong is again a wrong word. There's a relevance issue because some other brand in the category is working. It's not that if the whole category is not working, then we have to change the category or move above the category or move to another category. But if that only brand is not working in that category, then one has to be very careful and then disengage. We talked about this transit advantage. So at some point in time, if despite all efforts at their end and our end, if the sales are not picking up, then there's something like relevance issue with the consumer, and then we have to move on. We cannot hold on with the non-performing brand for very long. This is harsh, but you can't let the ship sink. It's a large ship with so many brands. So with the non-performance, you can afford 1%, 2%, 5% non-performing. But so this debate will continue whether the mall brings footfall or the retailers within the mall brings footfall to the mall.
Yogeshwar, Mr. Mangesh Deshmukh, his question is, what is the ideal marketing budget a mall should spend? That is percentage of sales or revenue?
So in my understanding, roughly like 3 to 5% of the total sales of the shopping center is an ideal budget. But again, how do we spend that budget is only one. I mean, you can blow up that budget by putting one hoarding campaign and that's it. And you will feel that you have done your job well enough. So maybe in next session sometime we can talk about how to distribute that money in different channels to bring in the results. So I will stay with the 3 to 5% of the top line is a must in a way to nurture the shopping center, to do something which is to take it to the next level, or even to sustain the position. Once you reach a position, the challenge does not become growth. The challenge becomes how to sustain that position, because your rentals are high, our expectations are higher and unlimited. So you have shortage of space. So one has to be very, very careful, and these budgets have to be careful. 3 to 5% is, some promoters are generous. They allow, and some people, some shopping centers also have this policy that, okay, if you earn more from the marketing side of it, like if you earn marketing income, then you get a leeway to spend a little bit more.
Yes, Sharma wants to know how many special events a mall should do in a calendar year, except the festive events.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, in 2019, we did 250 events in 365 days. So out of these, three events are intense events, like Diwali, Christmas, and Valentine, especially in North. These three are little high budget events, and then we have national events like, for example, Republic Day, Independence Day, and then we also have a very topical any event. I mean, and if you see, pick up a Hindi calendar, you will have a day every day. You can celebrate anything and everything every day, but we don't have to overdo it, because sometimes it becomes it takes a toll on the team, because and it doesn't serve a purpose. The purpose is to. So if I have to put together a number, I think every fortnight there should be something. I mean, on weekly basis we can do smaller things, but fortnight mid-size, and once a month little bit slightly higher. And my colleague Gitanjali is expert on that. So this session should have been taken by her, but sometimes the bosses take the credit, so I will take the credit.
Asha, this is the last question I'm taking. Rasika Parav. Question is, being a tourist mall, how to attract more locals, especially in non-season? Appointing local brands in the mall, will it help to sustain local shoppers?
Yeah, can you repeat once? I mean, the tourist. I mean, are you saying that that the tourists which come for other reasons, how to bring them to the mall?
Yeah, the question is, being a tourist mall, how to attract more locals, especially in a non-season?
So, I mean, the question is that it is a tourist mall. A lot of tourists come to the mall, but when there is non-season, how to help retailer like the local catchment come more often to the mall? Is that right? No, that's it.
So
How to bring in local people, belong, how to put together things. So marketing and events is the next tool. Once leasing is done, you can do limited about those brands, because they will be there for 3 years, 5 years. They have their own philosophy. They will not change their philosophy because of the locals or the brand positioning because of any other reason. So then the events and markets and sometimes these markets, every mall starts putting together flea market. One has to be very careful about it, because it takes away the sales of the center, which is our primary responsibility. The primary responsibility is the retailer should be able to sell more, which are long-term retailers, by putting together a market. So market has to be very carefully put together. I'm also culprit of not doing it so nicely sometimes, because of the work pressure. You can't choose the exhibitors properly, and the same category is selling outside at 1/10 the price. So consumer are buying outside in the flea market, rather than the whole objective gets defeated, because the objective was that the shopping center should do well. So local events are very, very important, and decor and topical things. For example, हमने गणेश चतुर्थी मनाते हैं, तो उसमें we see a different set of clientele who belong to the Durga Puja है, Krishna Janmashtami है. So we have to go a little local and see what works. There is no shotgun approach कि मेरे पास एक बुलेट है, मैं एक ही बुलेट चलाऊंगा, वो नहीं हो पाएगा. It's a, because shopping center is catering to a wider persona of consumers. So you have to have a sprinkler approach where you do many things. Some will work, some will be very clear did not work. So it's a learning. So like we've developed a brand over a period of time, we cannot do it in an instant. Similarly, marketing also has to have some long-term view and not only a local short-term.
Yogeshwar, one more question. Please give some offline marketing ideas other than events, sir. This is a question. Please give some offline marketing ideas other than events.
ये तो मेरा होमवर्क है, मेरे को लगता है अंजीव, मेरे को बोलना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि इवेंट्स ही रहेंगे. मतलब इवेंट्स की कैटेगरी चेंज हो सकती है. फॉर एग्जांपल न्यू सेट ऑफ like CSR collaborations is which comes to my mind, that there is a huge section of society which is having money, wanting to spend, but not have enough avenues because they're not so well, or they associate with a different cause, and so one has to list. I mean, just start observing. I mean, in the catchment, and you will come across many ideas. And I will also think about it and circulate. Event will remain event. I mean, what kind of event? You can go like, for example, we did started doing events with the embassies now. So Korea did a very big festival, Korean festival. So, and we may not know how many Koreans are in Delhi, but I mean, the embassy exactly knew 3,655 Koreans live, citizens live in Delhi and NCR. And by they sending the Korean festival invite to those, so these people, I mean, they flocked to them all. I mean, similarly, Thailand tourism did a very big festival with us. State level, handicraft, I mean, all there's list is unlimited. There's so many sections of the society which can be tapped. Book readers, book lovers, you pick up anything. Education, I mean, beauty sells only if you are able to educate how to do makeup. I mean, it seems very easy, but it's the most difficult task on this earth. Now, every woman or man is trying to differentiate himself and buying that makeup so that it will look good on him. But on a funny part, when somebody like my family, my daughter, they will dress up and they'll say, मैं कैसी लग रही हूँ? आपको क्या जवाब देना है? बहुत सोच समझ के देना है. अगर वो मेकअप ओवर जा हो रखा है, आप कह नहीं सकते हो. So education in beauty, we did classes, and many times now we do associations which are not true. One has to be very careful about it. I'll leave it this note. Once we did a stationery market, a small stationery market in the mall, and all kinds of stationery were being sold. And that day, the beauty did very well. So we came to a conclusion, very quick to come to a conclusion, that mothers came to buy stationery and they also bought the makeup, and the kids bought the stationery, for schools were opening at that time. But when you dig deep, when we really went deeper into that situation, we came to know that some people from Northeast had come and they bought, they had nothing to do with the stationery. They just picked up some beauty products because so one section of our team was saying, let's do more stationery events because my moms are coming and they're buying beauty. But these were two different things. I mean, they resulted in the same solution, but the problem was different, or the reason was different. So one has to be very careful when we start associating things, that why things are happening. Even if their results are good, the reason could be something else, not the visibly difference. Yeah.
Yogeshwar, seriously now, Mr. Amit Thapalial, of course, he has requested to take up his question, that shall SOH income be given preference over mall events during festivities?
Yes. The primary objective of a shopping center is to sell spaces, to rent it out and all that. But it should not be to an extent that it starts cannibalizing. In the sense, we face this problem. For example, in the month of December, I can put a lovely Christmas decor and compromise on the events or promotions income of that month. Or I can have promotions, but do not have a Christmas tree in the mall. So this debate is an ongoing debate. There's no clear answer, yes or no. What we tried in our way is, okay, shift the Christmas tree outside so that more number of people can see it. We made it a little bigger, maybe because outside there was scale was possible, and we rented out the space in between for the promotions. So we got the money also, and we did not compromise on the tree. Similarly, we took the decor aerial route, so that the spaces on the ground floor are sellable. I mean, you can put up a kiosk or a car launch or anything, because the timings clash. Both season is the same. I mean, there will be new car launch in Diwali, and at the same time you want to do a Diwali festival or Diwali decor in the mall. So there are creative ways of balancing it, and that's the role of the marketing and the leasing and the team, that one should not let go of the opportunity, because if the promotion you miss, that's the promotion which would have given you a good money on that season, and it would have affected your PNL. But if you only do SOH and compromise ki ab decor वगैरह nahi karna, every wall will be plastered with signage, then you're somewhere in short term, it may look very nice. The Excel sheets people, the finance people will be very happy कि हमने पैसे ज़्यादा ले लिए हैं, लेकिन in the long run, so it comes back to the brand positioning, that comes back to the vision and the strategy for the mall. But I have my sympathy with the gentleman, because I also have this fight that कि वो 50 लाख का प्रमोशन आ रहा है, अब इसको डेकोर को हटा देते हैं जल्दी से, या डेकोर करना जरूरी है और प्रमोशन छोड़ देते हैं, या दोनों में से एक चीज कर सकते हैं. इधर और लाइफ में ऐसा होता नहीं है. So one has to be creative enough to balance it out so that doesn't damage the shopping center, and at the same time help make the money.
So thanks, Yogeshwar, for conducting this workshop, a very insightful workshop. I hope all my viewers, they must have, learned a lot. And maybe in the near future, we will have another session on marketing. So with this, we conclude our today's session. Once again, I thank you, Yogeshwar, for conducting this session, and all my viewers who have attended this workshop.
Thank you. I really enjoyed.
Thanks.
I mean, मेरा भी एक revision हो गया है. Very nice, very good questions, and thank you very much for the opportunity. And all the participants, I'm so glad to interact whatever way I could. If you have anything else, you can reach out to me anytime and come and shop at the mall. You will experience it.
Thank you everyone, once again.